We have a birthday gal in the house. Her birthday, Christy Lynn Beck, is in the house. Maggie Gunnels is in the house.
Hi.
Keith Smith is in the house. We will start the show shortly. Keith, fantastic roundtable today.
Yeah, looking forward to it. You know, it's always great when you have the awesome Maggie Gunnels team on to talk about Lake Monticello, and so we're looking forward to it. I think Maggie, this is your third or fourth rodeo, I think. Third?
It's fun. I could do it every day. Come and talk. Okay.
It's fun. It's a great job.
That's right.
It's a great job. Christy, your second time?
Yes. Yeah, excited to be back. It was so fun last time. Excited to be here today.
And we're just going to pick up where we left off and talk Lake Monticello and life and whatever the feed shall pass our way.
Agents watching the program, if you want to give props to Christy, the birthday gal, if you want to give props to Maggie, just put it in the feed. We will relay that commentary on air. We're going to have a great time on a chilly Monday, but a fantastic day to be alive here in Central Virginia. Give the show a like and a share. We are live on every social media platform known to mankind. I see some comments coming in now via Twitter, which we will get to for Maggie Gunnels. It's going to be fun about the Fluvanna market. Fluvanna in the house.
All right.
Judah Wickower, my friend, amigo, we can rock and roll when you're ready. Good Monday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to the Monday Market Monitor here on the I Love Seville Network. Of course, we're live in Charlottesville, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world, and a lot to cover today on a fantastic program with Maggie Gunnels in the house of the Gunnels Group, and she's brought a team member that is celebrating another whirl around the sun, and Christy Lynn Beck on the show. So much to cover today. The Monday Market Monitor, of course, brought to you by Closure Title and Settlement Company, Ally Property Management, and we're powered by the fantastic people at Segura Solar. Judah Wickower is our director. Judah, if you could go to the studio camera, my friend, and let's welcome the distinguished gentleman to the program. Good Monday morning, Keith Smith. How are you?
Good morning, Mr. Miller. Good morning, ladies, and again, happy birthday. I live in a house full of women, so I will not ask age. So I'm smart enough to know that, but happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Happy birthday to you anyway. So today, you know, we're just picking up where we left off, a month or so ago on the Lake Monticello market, kind of take a look at what just happened over the last few months. But normally what we do on the Monday Market Monitors, we kind of take a look at what happened in the last 7 days and kind of compare it to a couple of weeks ago or months ago. So it was pretty interesting. Last week I got a little excited because we were on par, right? We were just about the same amount of homes went on the market as went off of the market. Unfortunately, this week that number has changed considerably. We are 40, last week 46 came on the market, 91 went off the market.
Wow.
So 46 came on, 97. So that is...
A lot of them, Christy and Maggie over here, 9 under contract
Yep.
for this gal right here. Is that right? 9 under contract. She's kicking some you-know-what.
Major.
Yeah.
Major. That's like what an average agent does, in just 3/4 of a whole year? And she just knocked it out in 1 month.
Happy birthday, Christy.
Yeah, exactly.
So you think I invite folks that can't produce on the show? But a week ago, we're 24 units down as far as inventory goes, week over week and over the year. So again, I'm keeping a track on it week over week. You know, just to me, that's just the best way to track it. About a month ago, we are down by 40 units. So a month ago, we had 85, 86 units on the market that came on the market in that same week versus 46. So we talk constantly about inventory. We're kind of not going in the right direction. So I'm going to throw it out to you two ladies. Do you think a little bit of this is the holiday season coming in, the typical November, December period where maybe not folks are not wanting to put their houses on the market? Any one of you two ladies that want to jump in and take that, then we'll go from there.
I think it's a mix of both. I think the sellers that I've been connecting with that are selling right now have to sell right now.
Yeah.
Right. And so, thank you.
You're welcome. And you look fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And then the best part about the market, this fall market, is the inventory. I call it the leftover inventory. The stuff that's really hard to move starts to go under contract. So I love that.
Leftover cause mispriced, wear and tear, all the above?
All the above.
Okay.
All the above. Absolutely. Right?
Yeah, totally. That's the 91. And then you have awesomeness over here that just cranks out contracts. But this is an interesting. You mentioned earlier before we went on live. This is your first year, right?
Yeah.
Which is really cool. So how do you feel about next year? Right? I know this is your first year, and you're working with Maggie, which is an absolute rock star. But you're about ready to go into year number 2. How do you feeling about that?
Yeah, so like overall that's, actually I had somebody who made a comment about that to me the other day, and me and my husband got in conversation about this. It's just, I'm a problem solver, and I'm always, no matter any business I've ever been in, whether it was dentistry or my activewear or now real estate, I always find ways to navigate through changes in market or changes in seasons and things like that. And so, even in my other business, as COVID hit, we were worried about what's that going to look like for our businesses? What's that going to do for people who are losing jobs and things like that? And again, I'm just like a problem solver by nature. And so the ones that want to thrive are going to thrive. The ones that want to make excuses are going to make excuses, kind of thing.
100%.
So I'm always going to find a way in that moving forward. But I've been listening to you guys, and I'm listening to other experts in the real estate industry because I want to know what it's going to look like. And this was an incredible year for the Gunnels Group, and I think real estate agents in general. But I'm excited for any challenges that may come, but I don't see this market slowing down any moment because there's so lack of inventory right now, and I still have so many buyers that are ready to buy that I don't see any problems coming forward.
So
there.
we talk about that. The buyer pool is kind of tall, right? We got
Deep.
12 feet of buyer pool.
Yeah, I see. I feel like
We
it's
got
going
a
to be a
kiddie
couple
pool of
years.
inventory.
We got
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is that pretty much it?
That is the exact right analogy.
So how do we solve that? Okay, is that the only thing that could slow down the market, Maggie, is the lack of rooftops on the market?
Probably. Well, yes, absolutely. Inventory always can drive demand. But I think that we are in an extra special situation because people are seeking our lifestyle here in Central Virginia. And so I think that, and we have no, I think we talked about this last time, there's no really great ability to develop. And so I don't know. I think it would take a lot of inventory to make that much of a huge impact on really slowing things down. I definitely think that unless there's some crazy COVID 2.0, plus whatever else, I don't know. I think that we've just got no inventory, tons of really strong qualified buyers, tons of people from out of town that come here from all over areas that are known to have, New York City. We've been doing the Charlottesville market with our Way West Wellness Company, and it blows my mind how many tourists I meet. It's just unbelievable. And so, the most of the people I meet, I would say 80% are tourists, and they're all from up and down the East Coast, and they love it here, and they come back regularly, and they want to buy here, and they want to live here. So, yeah, I don't know. I have a hard time seeing where that break is going to be for the strong seller's market that we're in.
David's watching the program. He's under contract now with his home at Lake Monticello. Just sold. Are you under contract, David, or have you gotten to closing with your home at Lake Monticello? And I'll ask you this question. Who did you utilize to sell your home, and who was the representation of the buyer that purchased your home? If you could put that in the feed, David. He's the owner of Skooma Boutique Dispensary in the Charlottesville Downtown Mall, who could be a potential connect with you guys and what you do.
Yeah.
Skooma Boutique Dispensary next to Rapture. He says, yes, he .3 off of Jefferson, sold for $239K. Rental property. Who is the representation, David? We would love to hear that on air. Keith Smith, jump in.
Yeah, so listen, thank you for taking us to Lake Monticello, Jerry. So, I was just running some numbers over the,
Popular. They're watching you on the show right now. That's what's happening right now.
is it a contract we can hold for a minute?
Take the call, Maggie. Take the call.
We can hold for a minute.
Yeah, always.
I'm pretty sure I can ad-lib for at least 15, 20 minutes while you write a deal. Not a problem. So, year to date, there was 311 units sold at Lake Monticello. Wow. Year to date, 311 units.
Wow.
As we stand right now, active, there's only 14 homes for sale.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Now, I'm going to quantify that number a little bit. There's a little bit more than 14 homes on the market right now, but to Jerry's point, I just looked at what was available from 60 days under, right? Or
Okay.
days on market from 60, because let's be honest, if it's...
So no new construction proposed or anything?
You'd have to ask me that question, Maggie. I have to take a look at that. At the moment, I do not see anything on that as proposed, but that doesn't mean Liberty Homes or somebody else might be putting them on the market here. I'm just taking a wide swath of what's available. But the reason I picked the 60 days was really important to play off of Jerry's comment. Is it a fair assumption to kind of, if you're taking a buyer out and if the home is on the market over 60 days, what's your conversation with your buyer sound like? Does that make sense?
Why is the house scarlet lettered?
Well, so I've been in probably every one that's been on the market for the past 60 days. So we're kind of having a conversation, and some of them I may have even tried to negotiate. There's some that are sitting on the market that may need a lot of work, and the seller's not budging for one reason or another. So I'm just having those conversations with them of what I've seen, maybe what conversations I've already had, and just prepping them there. And some of them we've been able to successfully, get a deal on, but some of them, these buyers are standing steady for some reason,
So we talk about this all the time. Real estate's 5 things, right? Location, like Lake Monticello, we can agree is a great location.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic.
Price, we can all agree that's
Awesome
a
price.
good price point on it. It's typically features, conditions,
Right.
and then timing. Where's the timing for the buyer? Where's the timing for this for the seller? But we may only have 14 that are on the market, but 30 are pending. Now, keep in mind, that's now 39 because
about to mark
that
another one
number
pending.
that number was 24
down to
hours
11.
24 hours old. So it's even stronger than that. But we talk all the time where the market's going, where folks, and this is the reason why I love having you two guys in Lake Monticello. I feel Flavanna, I feel Zion's Crossroads is where the market is kind of gravitating to, and frankly, probably beyond that to Buckingham County on that end of it. But Maggie, you've been in this business for a while. Do you see this to be sustainable out there at Lake Monticello? We're going to hit a brick wall here soon?
I would think so. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of like rent. Rent always just kind of caps out at a certain point. At the lake, at least, I think. You're not going to get, it doesn't matter what kind of waterfront you have. Like, you're not going to get what you could get other places. So I would think so. I mean, I would be, I don't know how a market can sustain itself like that. I mean, we know these markets are cyclical. It's going to change eventually. It always does. It always will.
Well, that's funny you should say that. Yona and I were talking, we were doing our business planning over the weekend for next year and the next 5 years. And I don't know if it's going to change.
You think?
I'm not so sure this isn't the new normal. And I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know if that's a bad thing. But, there's no indicators out there other than this inflation thing. Right?
Fuel, gasoline prices.
That's the big caveat, I think, at this particular point.
Outer skirts of Central Virginia become a little bit more soft or vulnerable when gas starts upticking to $4 a gallon.
Without a doubt. So what do you think about that, Maggie? What do you think $4 a gallon will do to the market at Lake Monticello?
Or does Zoom counterbalance that? The Zoom
Yeah.
Town moniker we have.
Yeah, I do think that makes a difference. And I I think when you think about the location of Lake Monticello logically, I mean, it's not like a commute from, the western Loudoun County into Washington, D.C. It's like a 20-minute drive from my house to here. So
I heard you did it in 15, but I'm just saying.
And she closed the deal driving.
I'm just saying.
Just working my magic. So I think, I don't know. I think maybe even more so in years past, the lake has been, it's just so far away, and especially from agents, because agents would have to go through the main gate, and they don't have it as easy as we do since we live there. Just popping through any gate we want to pop in and out of. But I don't know. I think the lake is. Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh, I can't tell you how many times I get a phone call. Can you please help me?
It's like going to I don't know, some faraway desert. I don't know. They don't want to come to the lake, and which is great. Stay away. We'll keep working it. So I will say though, you had mentioned this previously. The amount of agents from out of town calling on listings is unprecedented.
Yeah, without doubt.
Wow, it's just just stop calling me. Do you feel that way sometimes?
Yeah, so it's a real thing, right? It is, we let's face it, even though we get along well, our we kind of compete against each other, which is a great thing.
Absolutely.
Competition is a beautiful thing.
Healthy competition, sure.
But our pool of competition is just exploded because we're getting folks from Northern Virginia, we're getting folks from Richmond.
Yeah.
But I want to pivot a little bit. Firefly. How do you feel about
that's
Lake
huge.
Monticello getting, because I got my notice in the mail the other day, I'm going to get Firefly within 6 months.
Yeah.
So those who are not familiar with it, that's fiber broadband.
Will Dominion get it too?
Yes.
Dominion will get it.
Sides.
Yay, that's wonderful.
Yeah, so all of Lake Monticello. So back to Jerry's
so glad to hear
Zoom
that.
town thing, will that impact the market?
Definitely.
And how will you do it?
I mean, people are saying that all the time. It's the first question we get. A lot of these people are working. I just had people that move in from North Carolina. They're like, they've excluded a lot of different neighborhoods in a lot of different areas based on what internet they're getting. And I actually was just helping somebody last week, and they were like, "What's the internet like?" And I told them we were getting Firefly, and they're like, "Then this is the neighborhood for me."
Yep. There
This
you
is
go.
a neighborhood for me. It's huge that we're getting it so quickly, and all the lines are being put in. I mean, you see them driving all around the neighborhood all the time, and now they're contracted with both Dominion and CVEC. So
Awesome.
the whole lake's getting it, plus all the surrounding neighborhoods around us. Some of the new built construction neighborhoods and stuff, they're going right in. So it's helping us in a huge way. I mean, I literally sold a deal last
Because
week
of that.
Because of that.
I agree.
So, yeah.
Well, I can share a little information because last week I was at the Virginia Governor's Housing Conference. I was speaking there, and that was the focus on all the conversations about how much money the state is and the feds are bringing into growing it. So, one of the,
internet in rural communities.
absolutely,
That's wonderful.
Absolutely. Well, COVID kind of helped that
Right.
along greatly. It was, to be honest with you, if Jesse Ruther was here, Nelson County pioneered it in our industry about 12 years ago, in our region, 10, 12 years ago. But, it just upticked it big time. But you're 100% right. Utility, first question.
Yeah.
Not water, not sewer, not
Right.
electric. What is my, so what would be the next generational conversation, right? Okay, hey, we've got Firefly. What's your next step? What's your next step in your conversation with your client?
I'm sorry. Let me.
No, it's okay.
Make sure you. So you just want to know what they're talking
Yeah.
about progressively.
So what? Let me try it a different way.
Sure.
Okay, we've got Firefly. What I'm trying to get to in the rest of the show is talk about all the awesomeness at Lake Monticello.
Oh, definitely.
So, I apologize.
I'm sorry. I was like, about the internet. I don't know. You got really good internet.
You're not reading my mind?
No, I mean that one of the things that I do when I get new clients and showing them around is they want to know how the internet's there, because so many people are working from home now.
Right.
So many people, more industries than I ever imagined are working from home, and that's a big part of it. But then they're wanting that quality of life, and so besides just showing the house, I spend more time besides showing the house is showing them the 5 beaches, the tennis courts, the basketball courts, the pickleball, the walking trails. Like, we just go into the restaurants. We have 2 restaurants out there, and so we just, well, one currently, but the other ones should hopefully be back up and going in a little while. But we just go talking about all those things, and we're getting more restaurants out there. Like Wahoo Barbecue and stuff, where they're just redoing so much, and
We need more.
the new neighborhood's coming, and so there is, but there's so, even just adding those little touches, it's like, it's a big thing.
Yes.
And so we just spend a lot of time talking about quality of life out there. I'm big into mom groups out there, and so I have to say, I'm taking off my realtor hat and, talking about the things that the neighborhood offers. There's gardening clubs, and there's dancing. They do salsa lessons. There's so many people, people go play cards a couple days a week. So we're always just talking about like what interests them and how I can get them connected to other people, because so many people that have come to us is like, we're worried, we've been living here, where we are for 30 years. We're worried about making a new group of friends and stuff like that. So we talk about what connections that the lake already has in place.
Right.
And so we spend a lot of time talking about those things and really just getting to know them. And half the time they're going out to dinner with me next, because I really love them and I love people, so my list is getting longer.
To put it in perspective, when I moved there in 1987, you had to drive to Charlottesville or E.W. Thomas to buy milk.
Right. I remember that, because my grandparents were here then too.
Hold it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I know. And so E.W. Thomas Food Line. That food line is the busiest food line on the East Coast.
That's exactly right.
And I mean, that's
And they deliver to your house now. That's a
Really?
nothing.
Ooh,
Yes,
I
they
love
do
that.
within like 2 hours.
We got comments.
Costco delivers 2 to the lake, which
That's big time.
it's
Yeah.
huge.
Big time.
That's a half day.
Comments coming in. Donna Peterson Santos, hello. Scott Williams, the entrepreneur. Hello, welcome to the show. Nicholas Erpe, CMO Emergent Financial Services, shared the show. David said Elise Wood was his representation selling his home
Oh,
on
she's-
Jefferson.
She's wonderful. She's actually in our office. She's great.
Keller Williams, yeah, $239K he said he got.
I thought she was in our office. She's not Keller Williams.
Well,
Is
comments.
Let's see
Never
what kind of
mind.
comments we got.
So this one's
Ignore me.
coming in from Jonathan for the panel. Do for sale prices that are high drive the rental market, or rental prices that are high drive the for sale market? How are they interchangeable?
That's a great question.
So
I like that
basically,
question.
I'll like summarize that in and I appreciate the question, Jonathan, but let me summarize this in clearer fashion. Rental prices, if they get super high, does that drive people to buy homes?
Right.
Or home prices that are super high, is that keeping people in rentals?
So the
It's
short
basically what he's asking.
Short answer to that is yes.
So our answer to that is yes and yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right?
Double yes.
What do you think, Maggie?
I mean, I would say the second part of, okay, well, I wouldn't say that low or high, the second part would be true. The first, yes, was about the first part, excuse me. The first part was about how, I don't think they were both yeses.
Okay,
I would
well,
go
which one
more-
do you think is a no?
That's the second one. What was the second one?
Well, you're thinking that if housing prices are super high, that's going to keep people renting homes?
I don't think so. I
Interest
think
rates are
people.
still so low.
Yeah, I think that people want to be homeowners, and they want to live that American dream, and they want to be invested in their community, and they know that homeownership long term is one of the best ways to build net worth. I'm not sure every person thinks that way. I would never think that way, and I'd always be buying. But I do think that the first part of what you said is probably true,
Well,
where high rent
yeah.
drives purchases.
What do you think?
I also think in this market it's a little different too, because there are no rentals out at the lake.
Right.
And I do have some clients that would love to rent, and then buy again so they can get, sell their house now. But there's no options.
There's nowhere to go.
There's nowhere to go. So I do agree with the yes and yes in some situations, because if prices of houses are too high, people are only forced to rent.
Right, that's a good point. That is
So,
happening right now.
Yeah. So,
Because they can't afford it.
Or they
to
can't
purchase.
find something to
and
buy,
rentals.
too.
But right now, rentals, like some people, like my clients, they're having to rent in Charlottesville. They're paying $1,800 a month for a 2-bedroom rental here in
Yeah.
Charlottesville, and they could buy a $300,000 house for $1,500, you know, depending.
$1,500 a month mortgage payment.
Right.
That's more square feet and more bedrooms, more
Right.
bathrooms.
And
Right.
a
But they
bunch of,
can't find it.
They
Right.
can't find it.
Yeah.
Well,
and a bunch of
sometimes.
amenities.
They gotta call me for a little while. Get it done.
So-
Yeah, and amenities.
So
Exactly.
rental, just so that everybody knows, year over year, nationwide went up 8.5%.
That's
Insane.
shocking.
Wow.
That is
8.5%.
insane.
That breaks my heart, especially for those that have rented for like 20 years,
Yeah.
30 years. It's like, why did you do that to yourself? But
Well,
I know.
and it also breaks your heart with people getting raises. The raise rates each year are about 2.5% to 3%.
Right.
So if rental increases are 8% plus
Right.
and raise rates are 2.5% to 3%, that means someone's sacrificing their income from some kind of category of enjoyment.
Plus,
You know what I'm
Or
saying?
if they even have that for enjoyment. Some of these people
They
are
might be
getting
living in
paid-
the red.
Right.
well, now they're trying to pay 60 to 70% more gas than they were paying this time last year.
And how about groceries?
Groceries
Pack
and
of
stuff.
bacon, gallon of milk.
Yeah.
I mean, I went
Right.
shopping yesterday. Normally, my wonderful better half is doing the fantastic shopping with our little boy, but I'm like, I'm going to give Mama a break yesterday morning, and I was going around scooping up the groceries. I was freaking shocked
Yeah.
with how expensive it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like shocked.
Oh, yeah.
When's the last time you've gone grocery
shopping?
shopping?
Too.
Actually, I go
Shelves
grocery
empty.
shopping every Sunday. It's my thing. I love to go.
Where do you like to go?
Ooh, wow, that's a great question.
Yeah.
What's a gallon of milk price, Keith Smith?
I didn't say.
on, what's the price
I
of a
didn't
gallon of
say.
milk?
I didn't say I looked at prices. I
No, I
said I
don't
like to
either.
go shopping.
Problem.
So where my wife and I differ,
Yeah.
I love to shop. Period. I don't really care what the hell I'm buying. I just love to shop.
Man's got champagne taste.
I got champagne taste.
Maggie's got
Like-
champagne taste.
Yes, I do.
But that's a great question, Maggie. I go a Sunday morning at 7:00 in the morning to Food Lion because it's not crowded. Well, hear me out.
Okay.
Sorry, Chuck.
You know, you've
I
got
did shop there yesterday.
but you got to understand, of everybody here, I'm an empty nester. So Yona and I live like college kids. So what do I buy?
Natural light? Is that what you're saying?
Let's say we live like college kids that have a little bit more cash than
Okay,
Right.
all right. Just want to make sure.
But it's, if you opened up my refrigerator, it's eggs, milk, wine, coffee, eggs, milk, wine, coffee,
Protein powder.
and protein powder.
Because you're saying you're eating out all the time.
It's
do
where
too.
we are in our
So
lives,
bad.
right? It's where we are in our lives. You know, we work to 8, 9 o'clock at night. Let's get something to eat and bring it
Right.
home. But I'm going to,
Yeah.
I shouldn't push back on somebody whose it's birthday, but I'm going to push back a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah.
We actually have way more than 2 restaurants that surround Lake Monticello.
No, I meant inside Lake Monticello.
Oh, inside Lake
Inside
Monticello.
the gate.
Got
Yep.
it. Got
We
it.
need more though. We don't have there are almost 15,000 people out at the lake, and how many restaurants is that? I mean, what do we have, like 6, 7, 8?
So I was going to be quiz Lake Monticello quizzes today.
Oh, I like that. That's a good idea.
So
Sounds like an idea of another talk show. Sounds like the idea of another talk
that
show.
sounds like a idea of another talk show. Sounds like what Mr.
can
Miller
probably
wants to
tell you
talk to me about after the show
A
today.
quiz show. Quiz show would be great.
Well, you'll find out tomorrow. I actually got little cards for our show tomorrow.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
how many restaurants outside the gates of Lake
Outside.
Monticello that we have?
We got Local Eats. We've got
Love that place.
Domino's.
Riverside.
We've got-
Riverside? Riverside? Oh, yeah.
Riverside.
Well, yeah, let the young lady. This is a quiz.
right outside
The River.
Outside the lake.
Riverside.
Is it closed though?
No, it is not.
It's not.
It is not,
Oh,
no.
okay, great.
It
Never
is
been there.
not.
Okay. So.
It's right next to Dollar General.
It's behind Dollar General.
To the,
Oh,
Yeah.
it used to be Bottoms Up.
The burger
Right.
joint.
Bottoms Up. Yeah, Bottoms Up burgers.
Right.
so we're on
Yeah.
3.
Okay. So you got Local Eats, Domino's, the Chinese restaurant right there, plus Bottoms Up, Wahoo across the street.
Yeah.
You're missing one over there.
Did you
Mexican.
say?
Oh,
Right.
the Mexican restaurant. That's right.
So just at where the one traffic
Right.
light is in Fluvanna County,
Right.
you have how many restaurants?
6. Right?
6 restaurants. That's just in one location.
Right. And then inside we've got 2. We've got the pub, and then we've got the other one that's only been
So
open
that's
for.
8. That's
Yep.
this many.
Okay. and
The
then-
Dogwood. That's the pub. Is that what you're
No,
referring
that's
to?
now
Oh,
called
that's-
Wahoo Barbecue.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's a
Dana and Mike
huge,
sold it.
Big
huge thing.
change.
Get out of
They got the
town.
billiard
Yeah.
stuff going
Was
back
that
up,
recently?
DJs, live music.
Couple of
Yes.
months ago.
Yeah,
Okay,
this
get
year
out of
for
town.
sure.
September.
Is Jackie Dunkel still the manager there?
No, so The folks that own, the name is escaping me.
Howie and
Come on, help me out, Maggie.
the people that bought it.
Yeah, that Wahoo
Brown,
Barbecue.
Howie Brown and Claire.
Claire
Yeah,
Crane,
Claire.
the Crane family.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Maggie.
welcome.
So I'm on.
Wealth of knowledge
I'm on.
over here.
Yeah,
I see that.
we'll play. Like that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
All right, we're going to the other side.
We're
You
going to the
guys
other
ready?
side, so we're-
Okay, here we go. Then we've got Papa John's, and then we've got Dunkin' Donuts. And then we've got the ice cream gelato place, and then we've got Blue 53. We've got the sushi place, and then we've got Sal's, and then we got Subway.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah,
And then
that's
Chinese.
pretty
Oh, no,
much it.
no,
And then
no, you
Chinese,
missed the
another
Chinese
Yeah,
place.
Chinese, yep.
Right, but
So
I
that's
mean,
15
Yeah.
places, unless I've
But
missed
never
one.
mind. We're supposed. Never mind.
What were you going
Good
to
thing
say?
I'm not going to because I'm going to be.
You don't
I-
choose your words carefully. What were you going to say?
Nobody's watching. It's
I was
okay.
told to
Come
be
on.
nice when I came on the show, so.
Okay.
Be
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, yeah. We do have 3 rules. Thank you for following the 3
I'll
rules.
follow the rules.
But the
Today.
point is, when I moved there in 1987, there was only one choice. That was
Right.
the pub at the bottom of the main clubhouse.
Oh, I remember that place, and they had that like bar down there that was like kind of crazy.
Yeah, I think when you walked in there, they gave you a cigarette. It was
They were
it was-
like, "How you're above 5? Here you go."
yeah, yeah.
No, I mean,
So,
I'm sure
Maggie,
it's
we
a
need
lot
to
of fun
behave.
times.
Maggie, you need to behave.
Oh no, I never do.
Kelsey, and I like that about her. Kelsey Smith says this. Do you think the lack of restaurants are impacting people moving to Fluvanna and the lake?
No,
Oh,
no, 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 no.
No?
Because
I think
because
it's great variety. I mean, we do. We do it.
Yeah, I do. I go to Local Eats a lot and get great. She's got great stuff in there. But no, I would say absolutely not because we have so many in Charlottesville, and so,
So
somebody
close.
likes more options like myself. Charlottesville has that in an abundance.
Absolutely.
And I mean, it's that's deep, our restaurant scene. And so that, yeah, no, if anything, people are drawn to that. And so it just helps sell the lake.
Well, yeah, and it keeps it's easy to get around.
Right.
So, like in Charlottesville on a busy day, I mean, or wherever you want to go, it can take you 30 minutes to get from your house to a restaurant in Charlottesville, where we can get into Charlottesville that quickly too. So
Right, especially if you like live on the north end of town and then you
Exactly.
you want to come downtown, which is where I like to go to the restaurants.
So just think about it, right? Right? There's one restaurant per 1,000 people. We have 15 restaurants,
So
roughly
I wouldn't
14,000.
know. I wonder what it takes to serve a restaurant. How many people? Like, do you know that data?
I do not. I know at one point in time I was intending to open up a coffee shop out there and realized how many coffees I need to sell to break even, and
Yeah.
I
I
forgot
decided
Cup of Joe's.
Cup of Joe's. So that's 15, 16.
Oh, right, Cup of
Yeah,
Joe's. That's
yeah.
right.
When you say coffee shop. So
and then
I will
technically-
say this too. I mean, Wahoo, their first month, there was multiple Saturdays they went in at 5:30 and they sold out.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they do have really great barbecue.
Yeah, I mean they
definitely
sold
do.
out. They were like, we've exceeded we made double what we made last week and we've exceeded that. So, I mean, I think restaurants are thriving out there.
So what I'm trying to do here is educate folks that are not familiar with Lake Monticello what's out there. So we
I
hand
got Villanova's too.
I do.
We forgot
I do.
Villanova, so
oh,
that's-
wait, we did forget.
that's
I do like the
17.
restaurants at the lake. I'm
Yeah.
just thankful for Charlottesville's restaurants too.
There you go.
well, there's
They're
17,
a great couple too.
and if you want to throw a food line in there because you can get a
Right,
little
seriously.
sushi over there, aren't
Little
that?
cute.
Yeah.
I love going
So
to get
there's-
ice cream at the little.
There's between
gelato place. It's
16
So cute.
Yeah.
16 to 18 places that one can get something to eat, from an ice
Absolutely.
cream to a
Right.
formal sit-down dinner.
I don't
Right.
go hungry.
Neither girlfriend. I was sent to Krispy Kreme the other day, and I somehow came home with 5 dozen donuts.
Lindsay Tozer loved that comment. Stacy Sutton giving you some props over there.
Stacey.
I love it. I love it. So we should put the spotlight on, we've done Lake, we've done Fluvanna. Why don't we broaden the spotlight a little bit? The radius.
We can do that, but I want to.
Because comments are coming in about that.
We'll get to that, but
Okay.
I have a quiz.
Asking about.
I have a quiz for Maggie, though.
Okay.
All right.
So we covered restaurants.
Uh-oh.
We covered restaurants.
I need more water.
Right? Other than restaurants, what other services that are around Lake Monticello that people may not know about?
Oh, right. So medical.
Thank you. That's where I was going.
Absolutely. Doctors, we have great doctors and dentists, and even if you, and chiropractors, and
chiropractors,
There are 2 gyms, and I thought the one closed near the main gate.
So we have at least 2, but keep on going, Maggie. You're on the right track.
Dentists, we need more gas stations. We
have 2.
Oh, there's a cute little shop, like a second hand-me-down shop near Crofton that I was in the other day. There's photographers. There's
Jefferson Pharmacy?
Jefferson Pharmacy. I love that place.
Such a cute place to get gifts.
That's where I like to shop in the lake. There's the hardware place. There's the other place that opened up. I mean, there's the place that opened up. What is the place that opened up behind?
Tractor Supply?
Thank you. Those people are going to spend some money to find out.
So we have Tractor Supply out there. So the point that I'm trying to get to is we have 14,000 people.
Right.
We have tons of services that are already in place.
Day-to-day life, you can do it all at the lake.
Yep.
And then if you want the extra, ness of all that Charlottesville is known for, then you get that too. I actually think we almost have it better because we get both worlds.
So when I was building, I would get what I call lake-itis because I really never needed to leave Lake Monticello.
Yeah.
Right? Because all my surface is there. But Jerry, we want to tap into what the feed is saying. So what was...
So this is coming in from Brian. He goes, you guys are very big proponents of the Lake Monticello, but when we're looking at houses out there, we realize that there's nothing to buy. Where else can we buy if we're looking for a first-time home?
Yeah, good question.
That's a good question. I mean,
I don't know.
the lake is no longer, the lake is so awesome, it's not a secret. And like, if someone's looking for a house to buy, especially a younger family, we're in the same age bracket. Keith, I'll include you in there by spirit.
Thank you, sir.
I'll include you in there by spirit.
Absolutely.
We know that's where we got to, one of the spots we got to go to buy a house, right? So if everyone knows this, and Northern Virginia knows this, and North Carolina knows this, and Tennessee knows this,
Oregon,
and New York City knows,
recently.
what's next?
Let's put it in perspective. Out of the 14 homes for sale, one is 209.
Oh, that's mine. That's going pending.
So,
Today.
So that's all.
of the 13
gone.
homes, of the 13 homes.
show that this afternoon.
Okay, ladies, you can fight later.
Just kidding.
Now you don't have to waste any
We're
time.
good.
So of the next price point up over that is 287.
Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy.
But 287 is still in a mortgage with the rate
Oh, yeah.
right now.
287 is approachable.
It's still $1,500
No
a
doubt.
month or less.
I
No
think
doubt.
depending on your.
But
What's
where?
the DOM on 287?
probably not long.
Single digits?
It just came on market on Thursday.
Okay, so we're talking, so that
Wednesday or
home, by the
Thursday.
time this show is over, is going to be under contract. 287.
287. 2 days a month.
You just said it, came on Thursday, right?
Got it.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
this hearing aid isn't quite picking you up.
Yeah.
So
Keith, you know this. Those little ranchers, those little 1,200, 1,300 square foot ranchers, you could buy them for under $100,000 for a long period
Sure.
of time. A decade almost of time.
Mm-hmm.
And now I am going to close knocking on the door of 250,
Yeah.
which is crazy.
2.5x what they were.
So the question.
That's
Just
significant.
like 4-ish, 5-ish years ago, I think is when that really ended on like foreclosures that were going for that price. But even just depending on condition, absolutely you could snag something under $100,000. Many times,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So that 287 is roughly a $1,500 a month, plus or
That's what you
minus.
said.
Okay.
That's amazing.
That's a
Yeah.
great price.
But I think the question really is asking, where is somebody going to buy that's below that dollar point? That is below
So sad.
that end of it. That may be the question
I've
that.
been selling
that-
a lot.
Buckingham.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Buckingham. I've been
I
selling
think
some
that's
in
where-
Louisa in that price range too.
right.
I've been going out to. I've sold quite a few in green recently.
Under 200?
No, right around that 2
Okay.
spot. Nothing. Very. Farber, is that how you say it?
Faber.
Faber, Farber.
Yeah.
That was about. We paid above 2 for that too.
So I'm going to quote a dear friend of mine, Anthony Harrow, that runs TJAC, which is the homeless folks. So he takes care of. He's a wonderful guy. He says, "How do you fix homelessness? you put them in homes. How do you fix this issue? You have to create more inventory. You
Right.
got to create more houses.
Right.
So as long as the inventory is restricted, the prices are just going to go up. It's just simple supply and demand.
Right.
So the answer to the question is, I don't think anybody knows where that price point really is,
Right.
other than driving until you're qualifying. And Jerry is spot on. I don't even think Buckingham is where that price point is anymore. I think that price point in Buckingham is going above $200,000.
I sold something in the beginning of this
And
year.
that's a different MLS than you guys.
Yes.
Buckingham
Buckingham.
can be a mix.
Right.
Yeah, well, it's, half and half.
It's like a mix of like
I'm gonna go to the
Richmond,
MLS now.
our area, and then
And then the
like,
Southwestern Virginia.
Right,
MLS.
exactly. I mean, I think when you were talking about gas and
Uh-huh.
how that's going to affect purchases, I definitely think that gas affects purchases in Buckingham.
Or Waynesboro.
Absolutely, if you're commuting into Charlottesville,
Right.
100%. That's going to affect it more than the lake will. Before, I think the lake people would absolutely complain about it's too far, it's too far, it's too far. But then, like, you know, up near Target wouldn't be, but it's like the same distance to downtown.
So you guys want to know on the MLS right now, how many are in Buckingham that are on the market?
How many?
What's your guess?
Oh gosh,
It's under 20.
four. I'm gonna go 14. Cause wasn't that the lake?
5.
What?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
I was.
5. There, and what's the lowest
crazy.
price in Buckingham on the MLS right now?
Oh, please tell me it's gotta be
One-
under 2, right?
There's,
Something?
No.
well, this is the car MLS, so
There
if-
is. I think there is.
So
one
you're
in
only
the
you're only
130s.
looking at
at
what?
a portion of it.
Portion.
I'm not looking at all Buckingham in totality. I only have
I
access
think
to
there's
the car
one
MLS
in the
myself.
130s or 145 recently that I saw.
There's one for, I don't see that one. Here's
Okay.
one that's in the car MLS, and I don't
Yeah.
doubt you. I know you're
No,
right.
no,
I
no.
know you're right.
Yeah.
So there's one for 65 Windsor Place in Buckingham, 315 asking, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 1,500 square feet.
How many acres?
It's just over 2.
Yeah, so you'd have to go back to the tape to our Buckingham show.
It might
Those
go.
Buckingham is now even at some levels more expensive than Lake Monticello.
I was gonna say that sounds.
Well, because of the land that
Right.
comes with it.
That's correct.
Right,
Well,
it could
it's-
be equivalent to like Fluvanna land pricing, but I mean, because 1,500 square feet, 3 bed, 2 bath, I definitely think that would take on 2 acres in
And-
the
and
county right now.
Stephen McAllister saying, what about Esmont?
I have a little house that's about to go under contract too in Esmont right
Oh,
now.
yeah, there is a house in the that you have listed for
Right.
149.
So he-
159.9, or yeah, maybe it's 149.9.
Yeah.
It's taken a minute to get under contract in a couple of attempts, but we are going to be pending.
So
today.
Maggie, you know what the struggle is that I had with that statement?
What?
A house,
Right.
right? That's the problem. That's the problem is these
not a
are
lot.
these are singular
That's funny.
items that are homes that are at that. We don't have a place where
Right.
there
There's
is.
5 homes in Esmont
I was gonna
according
say
to the
there's not
car
very
MLS.
many. Yeah.
Right.
And there's 3 that are under 200, 4 of the 5 under 200K, but these 4 or 5.
I'm gonna be marking one pending.
These 4, okay, is that one of them that's active now?
One of them's active. That'll be pending today.
Is it Mabel Lane?
No.
Emery's.
Okay, there we go,
but
Emery's Lane.
but as you look at
Buck
them,
59.9?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
There you go.
Good job,
Yeah,
Maggie
it's
Gunnels.
It's
I'm looking
taken
at
a
it right
minute,
now.
but it's gonna happen.
What do you
so.
What do you guys think about Stanton?
Oh my gosh, I
For houses
love
under 2.
Stanton.
Downtown
Absolutely.
Stanton is adorable.
That I think.
I sold a
def-
couple under 2 there this year.
Oh yeah. Stanton, I
And
think
that's
is
not a horrible commute into Charlottesville.
no.
No,
It's got
that's
its
great.
own. Like if you didn't even have to come into Charlottesville, I mean, you could probably find
Oh, it's
employment
huge.
out there if you wanted
Yeah.
to be out there. It is that I think is a great
Yeah.
buy for anybody
I've
that's
shown
looking
a lot
to
out
invest.
there. It only takes from the lake. It only takes 50 minutes to
Yeah.
get out there. So
50 minutes
Yeah.
one way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me ask you this. How much are you guys spending in gas this year versus 2 years ago? Oh,
Yeah.
question for you. Your first year here. So this is the
I
norm
bought a
for you.
hybrid, so
Okay, so you got no gas.
I got so lucky. Who buys a brand new car and makes money on it in 1 month? Me.
Maggie Gunnels. There you go. There you go. Because you're saying with the write-off.
Well, because we bought it like at the end of April, and then everything just went crazy in May and June in pricing on just any
Yeah.
any physical tangible asset like cars.
Which hybrid did you buy? Can I ask that? You
The
don't have
Kia,
to.
no, I bought the Kia Niro and I love it. It's like a little spaceship and it gets 55 miles per gallon and it's perfect and it's like the most practical car. I bought the lowest grade model and it's the most practical car I've ever had and I love it.
Emily Sacco giving Christy props right now.
Oh,
Hybrid
we
could
love
solve
you.
this
Photographer
issue.
Well, EVs will
Yeah.
ultimately.
EVs, I meant, yeah.
Well,
What's an EV?
Electric
vehicles, all
Is- oh,
100%
oh, right,
electric
yeah.
vehicles, yeah, to do that. And I think you're 100% right. That's why the other side of the mountain is being looked at. That's why on Friday you guys were bringing in folks from Madison County, Buckingham County. But now, the market is trying to adapt to the
Right.
circumstances, that there's nothing in Lake Monticello to buy at this point, so we're trying to go out that way. Gases are going up, we're looking at it, but look, here's the reality of it. Even if you wanted to go out and buy an EV right now, you can't buy one.
Right.
You can't buy one. They're just not available
Yeah,
to,
it's
to
crazy.
be
Can't get the
to be
parts.
bought.
Yeah.
But great question, Jerry. So, Christy, when you started in the beginning of the year to now, how much has gas gone up on you?
Oh, good golly. I think it was like
God,
220,
it's going up.
230 or something like
$3.40
that.
a gallon right now.
So
Yeah.
the question that Jerry is asking is a great question, because it came up on the feed last week. Is that going to change your thinking, driving all the client out, or you're just
It's
going to take care of your
not.
client?
Yeah, it's
Would you just
not.
kick a referral to an agent that is in that market and then scrape a percentage for yourself? As
So-
opposed to driving the 50 minutes one way?
I drive the 50 minutes.
You would? And just
And
keep the full.
she sold a house in Massanutten, Spotsylvania. Where else have you gone that's
Stanton.
crazy? Stanton.
Yeah.
So the
So
reason
you are the agent that is going into other markets
She-
that we were just talking about. That you are the agent that is creating added competition. That's great. I appreciate your hustle.
But here's
Right,
the, here's
exactly.
the thing
I
though.
appreciate
is
it.
Serious
I build
hustle.
Yeah.
such a relationship with my clients.
Right.
That's
It's,
the right
it's
answer.
not
Right.
selling a house for me. And so we've
That-
had some situations where I've had to have other people write contracts for me and stuff. But they always want me to help process it. So I might as well just see it through because
Respect.
yeah, I want the relationship with them. They are comfortable with me. It's that like, know, and trust thing. And I just like seeing it through.
I respect that.
And I
Thank
help
you.
answer all the questions anyways.
Thank you
so.
for saying that.
Yeah.
Because the
That was a
key,
great answer.
The key to our business is relationships.
Right.
Yeah.
A key to
most
our business
definitely.
is to be the trusted advisor. The key to our business is to be the source of the source, to go ahead and do that. And the mentality of, I will put in 110% effort. If it's a $100,000 transaction or a $100 million transaction,
Right.
you should be so lucky to have one. A $100 million transaction is the same amount of effort. And that's why,
Oh, it is.
frankly, that's why I have the two of you here, because that's really the reason I bring agents on here to do this, that follow that mentality of doing it. So thank you.
Yeah,
Very
and I
well
will
done.
say this: my best friend was selling her house down in Pocosin, and it wasn't in my best interest, or really her best interest, for me to be selling her house. I know the market really well because I used to live down that way.
But you
so
referred it out.
But I referred it out to
Right.
an agent that I like, know, and trust. And I still helped make decisions during the process and was still there for her during all of it, but it was not in her best interest that
Well
I
done.
sell a house
Right.
there. So I'm not afraid to refer out where I need to, but in a situation where I have such a strong relationship, I rather just see it through.
Tom Woolfolk, love the show,
Tom.
great
We
resource.
love Tom.
We love you, Tom Woolfolk.
You're so kind.
Former president of CAR, who navigated CAR through COVID
Amen.
Wow.
last year.
That's amazing.
Well done, Tom
Amen.
Woolfolk.
Could not have done
Yeah.
it without him.
This
Yeah.
is Lisa
Such a good
Stevenson.
man.
Lisa Stevenson is saying this through a Twitter DM. Would the panel say that this is the most competitive real estate market from a realtor standpoint they've
Absolutely.
ever experienced?
At 100%.
Oh,
Put
I
that in
would disagree
perspective.
with that wholeheartedly.
Well, you have
you
agents
think-
from other markets coming in everywhere, and you
No.
have no rooftops for sale.
But wait a second. So
No.
are you saying you think 2005, 2006 was more competitive?
No, that's not what. No, that's actually not what I was going to say.
Okay. All right.
When was in the last 20 years the most competitive time to be a real estate agent?
The
Oh,
Great
to be-
Depression?
oh,
The Great
to be-
Depression?
Oh, to be a realtor. Oh, that was the question.
Well, that's the competition,
okay. I
right?
didn't realize. Never mind. I thought she meant as a purchaser.
So the flip side. So
Oh,
during
actually,
She
the
meant as a realtor.
Yeah, 100%, 1,000%.
Yeah.
It was during the recession because
or a great time of unpleasantness.
yeah,
As Mr. Neil
Neil
Williamson-
Williamson's watching right now. He
Neil
loves when you
Williamson,
say
great.
that.
yeah, it's true. That definitely. I mean, that market was
Because you couldn't, a buyer couldn't buy.
couldn't get rid of houses.
Your seller couldn't sell, right? You know, and
Right.
that was That was a tough time.
That's when we had talked about inventory before. Inventory, you could look at inventory and it could say your absorption rate could be like 2 years or something. I mean, it was,
Wow.
Yeah,
the absorption rates were off the chart. Like, I think they were even longer than 2 years, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I mean, it was like, you're never going to sell this inventory. And again, though, if that's what does Warren Buffett say? Be greedy when others are fearful. Be fearful when others are greedy.
Well said. That is what the Oracle of Omaha says.
And it's so true, because that just speaks to the point that when you buy real estate and you hold it long term, especially, no matter what, like I have a first time home buyer right now, and he's buying an investment property, and he's really nervous about buying an investment property right now because of the unknown of buying into this crazy seller's market. But I always tell him, I'm like, think about this over a 30-year period with interest, your low interest that you're capitalizing on right now, and all the lost time you would have over the next 2 to 3 year period of not having this asset. You're having a tangible physical asset in Charlottesville. Like, that's, I think you're going to be great no matter what.
Devil's advocate for the sake of a talk show.
I was going to.
Here's the devil. What
Yeah,
you were going to
figure
say is home purchasing is the greatest hedge against inflation. That's what you were going to say.
I spend way too much.
I knew you were going to say that.
I even take a day off, and it still doesn't go away.
I knew you were going to say that. And instead, I'm going to say this to Maggie.
I'm gonna drink my
to
coffee.
Warren Buffett's comment, should we be fearful now because
know,
everyone's
right?
being super greedy?
Yeah.
There's a lot of greedy folks right now.
You are desperate.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
so-
it depends on what side of the fence you're on.
I've had
I
some-
think.
So
I
are we
think
trying to
it's the
refer this back
difference-
to 2004, 2005, 2006? Is that where we're trying to go with that conversation?
I don't think it's 2008, 2009, 2010 because people aren't taking like HELOCs against their house and
There you go.
removing all the money from their home. That's not happening now.
there you go.
There's a lot more guidelines in place that are preventing people that should not be getting loans from
Right.
getting loans.
Right.
We're all in agreement there.
Right.
But I think we're in agreement that some of the asking prices, and granted they're selling.
Oh,
so
right.
maybe,
That's totally greedy. Right.
Maybe
Yeah,
the
but-
market justifies it because the homes are moving.
Well,
I know.
there's
I mean,
this.
if you can, then
maybe
go.
that's not greedy.
That's
Yeah.
just the reality of the market.
There has been some greedy situations though where you're trying to be the most competitive and people will come back and go, well, I want you to give me this.
Right. And they know that
And
you're
you're
going
like,
to do
you're
it.
not a magician. It's the market is the market.
Yeah.
Is that what you say? How do you handle that?
Well, it's we've had a lot of conversations. Well, if the market is calling for it, we'll pay that much. But with escalation clauses and stuff like that, some people will get greedy and go, well, we just want your top number.
Right.
And I'm
I
like,
can't stand
and
that.
I-
It drives me
that is-
crazy.
So let's try this a
But at
different way.
On the same token, like, oh, sorry.
No,
They
it's
probably,
okay.
whoever's listening is like, what are they even talking about?
Yeah.
Scott, is Scott your man, your husband?
It is.
Christy and Maggie are the best, very knowledgeable ladies.
Scott is
Scott
literally
back watching the program right now.
Scott.
That's a requirement.
Hello, Scott Beck.
Well done,
Nice to
Scott.
virtually
Well done,
meet you.
Scott.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
So let me take this a different direction. Okay? Of both of your year's transactions, though not exact number, but in a percentage, how many were cash versus finance deals?
That's a
Yeah,
great question.
So much more cash in the market. Holy cow.
Over half, less than half? I mean, not an
wouldn't
exact
say
number.
that many.
About, I would agree with you, by the way.
Yeah, I've had a lot of first-time home buyers
Yes.
too that I've helped.
Okay.
But
hard
I
to be a
would
first-time
say I have about maybe 20% cash
Okay.
right now.
So let's for the sake of
Reasonable,
a
for sure.
for sake of a talk show and for me to try to get this question out, let's say, because we're about the same way, about 20%
Yeah,
plus or minus
right.
of our sales or transactions. To go back to this whole conversation everybody was having about market price, what entity is controlling that right now? The appraisals
Oh, gosh.
and the lenders.
Right.
So this is a
They're kind of catching up now, I feel like.
but they're catching up. But how many deals have you done recently where the appraisal turns in less than the contract amount?
Not
I haven't had one
recently.
since February.
I haven't seen it in
You
a
haven't had one
while.
since February?
Not since
Yeah,
February.
it's been a minute.
So why is that?
Because we have comps now, and we have so many comps to choose from. So we have what appears to be a solid amount of sales to be able to support.
So why we have that is we have trusted advisors at this table who have honest conversations with the seller and say, look, this is really where the market value is. If you want to get an extra,
Unless the buyer is coming and willing to pay out of pocket the difference.
so that's where I was about ready to
Right.
get to.
Which
and-
happens.
Absolutely.
which
all the time.
So that was my next follow-up question.
How many have paid the difference out of pocket?
I haven't had any recently,
Less
but
and less.
but the beginning of the first half of the year, I had quite a few that made up the difference while they were just waiting for these comps to reach out. But I haven't had any in the last 6 months.
Right. Oh, so it's so interesting. One of my clients, he's also a realtor down in North Carolina, and he and I were talking about this the other day. He was saying how down in North Carolina, everybody is like $70,000 difference, $50,000 difference. He said that he had a client
Oh,
recently.
the appraised value, we're going to make the appraised value.
Right.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
So
right.
what we're basically saying, and I don't mean to interrupt you, for
No.
those that don't know what we're talking about here is an appraiser's going to come and value the home to justify the mortgage for the lender. And if there's a delta between, say it's a $300,000 purchase and the buyer is willing to offer $340,000, but it's only appraised at $300,000 and the bank is only going to willing to lend at $300,000, the buyer has to come and make up that $40K difference.
Right.
That's what we're talking about here.
Exactly.
Okay.
So
And
yeah.
And the beautiful thing about that process, it ensures not a 2008, 2009,
Yeah,
2010.
we want that.
Right.
We
love
want that. We
Right.
want that because
We
they're
need
not.
Most definitely.
We need honest appraisers because what was happening before is people were, there wasn't regulation. I think even with you could choose whatever appraiser you wanted. You could do anything. You could just, hey, can you sweeten the pot for me today and add an extra $50,000 on the value of the house or whatever?
Well, there was a reason when I was
Persuasion
buying
happening.
real estate back then, and
Right.
the representation I was using was like, this is who you should use to appraise
Right.
the home right here.
Well, and it's not to. I mean, that definitely was happening. I mean,
Oh,
I
that
didn't.
definitely
I
is.
actually I started real estate at the absolute worst time in 2007 in November or something, September. But I know just from my mom talking about
Sure.
what happened, because even 2007, 2008, 2009, absolutely, there were things like that where like, who do you call? You got to call the right person. That was definitely happening.
So an interesting stat, I ran the last 20 years of appreciation in our car footprint, and we averaged, if you held on to something for 20 years,
Right.
even with that downturn, you appreciated between 5 and 6% year over
and that's
year.
what you want. That's what you should expect out of real estate.
So can I ask a question? Do you have anything on the feed?
We do,
for-
but ask your question. We do.
Well, this question is going to be really uncomfortable and outside the box. So if you don't want to answer it, I understand that. I want you to take off your real estate hats. I'll take my hat off. There's a lot of new development about ready to go on around the Lake Monticello. How do you feel about that?
Yeah,
If you don't want to answer the question, I'm cool with it.
Why wouldn't
Yeah.
you be in favor of that?
right.
No,
absolutely.
I understand how I started the question. You're not a real estate
Right,
agent.
because people are just love to find things to complain about. People don't like change. They don't want to. Whatever. Wah. So, but it's so true though, and it's so
It's so
true
true,
at the lake.
yeah.
It's so true at the lake.
Generally an older demographic.
It is, and it's so funny. People will like live at the lake for like 20, 30 years and be like, oh, I just complain about it. And I'm like, just move.
Yeah.
And
And let me sell your house.
Right, exactly. So I think that,
So from a history of time,
Right.
when I moved at Lake Monticello, there was only 600 houses. Now there's 4,500, there's subdivisions
Unbelievable.
going around there. When you moved to the lake, it was almost full,
Right.
on that end of it. But, depending on the number of projects coming around here, you've potentially got another 400 to 800 more homes
I
coming
think it's-
around
so
the thing.
that could affect value of houses if we have tons more inventory to choose from. Although they're going to not just throw a ton at you at once. Obviously, it'll be
Over time. This is a
Over time.
long...
I think it's going to drive, okay,
I
and
think
you
it's
guys are the experts.
great.
I think it's going to drive values for the lake.
I agree
And
with
here's
you,
why. And the
100%.
neighborhood I live in, you had new homes brought to the market by Stanley Martin that were on smaller footprints than the existing homes, and because the cost of
adjacent
goods...
to the community too,
Yeah.
right?
Well, adjacent and inside. And
Okay.
because the cost of goods and because supply chains and subcontractors were so pinched, they had to put those homes on the market for price points that were pretty darn high compared to existing. And then all of us that had homes that were built in like the early 2000s on lots that were 4x the size, were
Right.
just riding the coattails of new construction to increase values.
Right.
So I think
Absolutely.
if the new construction comes outside the lake, that's going to help lake existing construction increase. What do you guys think?
Well, and taking off the realtor hat, like he said, from a family perspective
Yeah, I love
and an
it.
educational perspective and resource perspective, it's only going to increase that. It's going to bring more people.
So it's very interesting. One of the sessions that I spoke at the Virginia Governor's Housing Conference was about the millennial way to look at NIMBYism, which you actually think is YIMBY. Yes, in my backyard.
We're all in favor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's just talk
Totally.
about what's actually coming in the ground, right? So let's do a little bit of that. So Colonial Circle, it's at the roundabout of,
Yep.
of 53 and 618. We talked about rental, so we're gonna give some good news about that. It's a 325 unit subdivision. 125 of them are apartment complex.
It's great.
And here's the important thing about that. They're going to be 60% area median income or below. So the rents on these units are going to be not low, but they're going to be competitive for the 60%. And then they're going to be 200 attached and detached. In other words, townhomes versus, and they're ranging 250
That's
to,
what I was going to ask. Where's the price?
yeah, about 250, 350, right?
Right.
And
I actually think that's going to help the lake too, those
Yeah.
price points for that community.
there's a gas station going in there.
Lots of
Restaurants?
retail.
Restaurants going in there. So,
We need
and I
another
can
grocery
speak,
store. Who wants to put one in?
Yes.
I can speak from a personal perspective on this because I helped the county and the state do this. That roundabout would have never happened if this subdivision didn't go in. So this is an
Roundabout's fantastic.
important thing to talk about on that end of it. So it has impacts other than what's going on here. So that roundabout, which multiple people have passed away at, would have not happened if this development wasn't going. This is an important
So
thing
glad
to
they
do.
did. I would have hoped they would have put that roundabout in it. It's for safety alone. My goodness, that's such a busy intersection.
But that took 6 years.
That's so great. Like, why?
And you're not going to be able to sell homes probably to the end of next year.
Wow.
Development will start beginning of next year, hopefully.
So homes come in the market in summer 2023?
Spring 2023.
Okay, pre-sales in
It'll-
spring 2023.
Yeah, it'll take about a year to develop and then
Yeah.
So,
start.
I mean, based on what you're saying right there, this crazy times is just going to continue
Yeah.
Yeah.
because there's no inventory.
Right. There's no
Yeah.
inventory, and that's a while. That's not next month. That's
It-
not
It'll
tomorrow
be about 8 years before somebody actually, from when it started
to finish.
to somebody actually taking possession of a home,
Wow.
roughly.
What's
Oh,
the fatal
I see what you're
flaw? What's up, Maggie? I want to throw this to you. What is the fatal flaw or the concern or the issue of Charlottesville and Central Virginia evolving into San Francisco, Greenwich, Palo Alto?
Oh, the bad part about that.
Because we're kind of heading that way.
Real estate prices.
Okay.
Real estate prices. I don't know what would be.
Some people like that feel.
Yeah,
A
I'm
bigger city.
I think.
Do you?
No.
I'm like always like come downtown with
You
me.
can't. No, she can barely get me around here. I'm just being honest. I was born on a farm.
Okay.
You know, I like that small town feel. That's why I love the lake. I still have all those mamas and play dates and all that fun.
So
and
downtown
everything we
Seville's
need.
not your cup of tea.
No,
We got you here. How do we get you here?
I know.
The day after your birthday.
I don't mind like date night and stuff.
Okay.
And you know, we bring the kids down
Yeah.
here. We come into Charlottesville all
Not
the
to
time. But
like bring the kids to hang out. Probably.
So I'm going to play
Right.
devil's advocate.
yeah,
You're going to have 800 new homes around Lake Monticello.
Yeah.
That's the reason I actually take your hat off.
yeah.
So how are you going to feel about that?
What are you saying? Because of traffic standpoint? Is that what you're saying?
There's more people.
Density?
There's more people.
I don't think we'll lose that feel though. I mean, you're not going to bring
I agree.
more people into the lake. I think we're still going to have that small town feel.
agree.
growing the
We,
lake
like-
community.
Like
So-
I love walking through the grocery store and running into 6 people.
Right.
That's me. I love people. I want to know people I know. It feels like home. Where in Charlottesville, I walk into a place and I probably could walk a whole day and maybe run into one person I know.
So the way that stays, just from a land planning perspective and comprehensive plan perspective, which we do want to talk a little bit about Charlottesville here before we wrap up today, on that end of it, the key here, because there's a couple of projects that are in what they call the growth areas that are receiving a lot of resistance. You have to develop the growth areas
Right.
and to keep the rural areas rural.
Which ones do you reference specifically, Keith?
Oh, geez, I wondered.
I wonder which ones you're referencing there.
So from a land planning perspective, same thing around Albemarle County and the urban ring. That's the reason why these growth areas need to be encouraged
Absolutely.
to develop, because what'll happen is the by right developments will start creeping into the rural area, because
But Albemarle County's not going to allow that to happen.
no, but by right you can. There's no reason. Just talk about Fluvanna County. Just talk about Lake Monticello. If you can develop by right subdivisions in the rural area. You can do that.
What does that mean when you say a by right?
So what that means is
You
you
don't have to
don't,
get additional approvals.
you just do a site plan and build.
Yeah.
Like in Fluvanna County?
Anywhere. It's a zoning term.
Okay.
Right. So
Okay, maybe.
so it's simple. If you want.
For example,
Yeah. So for instance, Colonial Circle.
Okay.
Right. It was we had the project had to get rezoned up to what they call a PUD or an R3 to get up
Right.
into that. Otherwise, it would be by right, which would have been A1 agricultural, which would have allowed.
a lot less
Yeah,
rip-ups.
so there's a project that's floating around the lake, right? We
Right.
all know about it right
Yeah.
now. If it goes, just to put it in perspective, it can go by right for about 75 homes,
Okay.
right? Which would probably be a price point of $400,000 to $500,000.
Right.
What happens with that is the county has no influence on it. Can't say, I want you to improve this, I want you to do this. It just gets done.
Okay.
Right, and the next thing you know, you got 75 homes there.
Okay.
Versus a rezoning is an ask. The person, whoever's doing this, asks for this, and then there's way that the county can get improvements.
The
That's
two
how,
most
I see
common
what
ones
you're
that people
saying.
know of in the news are RST at Forest Lakes and Breezy Hill in the Keswick side.
Yeah.
Those are the two most frequent.
we're talking about one that's around
Are
Lake
those
Monticello.
by rights or are those the second?
No, they were rezoning.
Rezoning,
So let's
okay.
go back and just talk about Colonial Circle, right?
Right.
Right? That roundabout would have never been there if it was a by right subdivision.
Because they would have just
Oh,
built.
I see what you're saying.
It would have been
improvements.
30, 40,
Right.
50 houses.
That would have just been there to kind of wouldn't, that's, so good, thoughtful planning
Correct.
is important and ways to like make a safer
Correct.
circle there
So
so
in-
people don't get in car accidents.
And the negotiations and the discussions and all this stuff,
Right.
frankly, I reached out to the property owner and said, look, if you can contribute this amount of land, I think you've got a better chance. And they did. And then VDOT said, we'd love to build it.
Yeah.
And they built it. And that's how that
great.
happened. So
Oh,
when you go
that's
by
so
right, you
great.
lose all that ability to
Right.
get something positive done for the community as a whole.
Yeah, oh, I didn't know that. That's
Yeah,
great.
great explanation.
Yeah,
I've only been doing it for,
Yay.
you
I
know,
love that.
Yeah.
That's an
That's
excellent
truly
explanation.
honest. Actually, a
Which
really-
I just regurgitated what I talked about on Friday, so.
So this is coming in from Brian with a follow-up. Is there fiber in Buckingham? Keith, you want to hit that one?
So the
Something,
answer, we
right?
think we determined no.
Yeah.
We determined no, and we also determined there's very limited, CenturyLink,
Satellite.
CenturyLink, right?
Broadband.
Broadband.
Yeah.
That being said, the money that's filtering down from the feds and the money that's filtering down from the state, there is a huge push to put a tremendous amount of money into what they call rural broadband.
That would be
There's actually an
great.
authority. It's called the Rural Broadband Authority. Neil will correct me if I'm wrong
Neil is watching.
On-
We'll correct him if he's wrong.
on that end of it. But this is years and years and years in the making. This isn't going to happen tomorrow.
Right.
David Friedman has this for the panel. Jerry, please ask the guests if they encourage sellers to sell now and get top dollar and then go rent for a little bit before buying the next house.
No.
Maggie shakes her head no.
No.
Tell us why.
I mean, goodness, then you're in a rental. There's no security with that. I would
Rentals
never.
are so expensive right now too.
Yeah.
So it's
My mother watching?
I don't. Is your mom on Facebook?
She's on Facebook. She used to watch.
I'm not friends with her.
We literally
I
had
need to
this.
make connection with
Yeah.
Mrs. Smith.
Yeah, we had this discussion at family dinner last night.
And she said, should I sell our house at the lake at top dollar and rent?
I definitely.
Well, move in
Yeah.
with us. Go into a multi-generational circumstance. We're literally having that conversation as a family. Well, and 24% of the nationwide sales were multi-generational last
Oh
year.
yeah, there definitely we're seeing a lot more of that.
So
Well,
the,
are you guys going to do that?
oh yeah, the owner and I are ready to do it. My mother not so much. Well,
that
it's
could be a touchy subject,
That does
right?
not sound like
I
fun.
actually have quite a few clients
No,
right now
thank
that they're buying what they're looking to buy right now. So they're they can have an in-law suite for their family. So I am helping a couple
Yeah.
families do that
Yeah.
right now.
People need it for a lot
In-law
of
suite
reasons.
basement or in-law suite detached unit in the backyard, like a
In-law
cottage?
basement for the 3 clients that I'm helping right now.
With like separate access?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're leaning towards the ADU in the backyard.
And how difficult would that be with the HOA?
You can do that.
You can do that?
No, sure.
Yeah?
Just can't rent it out to anybody. It can't be rented out to anybody who's not a family
Family
member.
member.
You,
Yep.
so you'd build
Oh,
a
perfect.
100 to 150K cottage in the backyard
Sure.
for Pop and Mrs. Smith?
Yep.
That means you
Oh,
guys aren't
sounds
leaving that spot ever.
nice.
if you
Don't
do
tell
that.
my wife, though.
My mom did that at the lake. They bought my grandma a little house down the street.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
my grandma definitely bought it.
Yeah. But multi-generational is a real thing. But
Yeah.
the point I was trying to make is my conversation I had with my mother and father. There is no better time for you to sell right now, right? They can receive as much money for their home. It'll go up a little bit next year, but it's not going to go up to where we are at this
I
particular.
agree. I agree with that saying of strike when the iron's hot, and if now is a good time for you to sell, then definitely do it. But there should also be other motivating factors out there. It shouldn't just be to capitalize on this market, because really you need to think about it as, I own this house, my net worth has also gone up. So why lose that asset when you don't, especially if you're gonna go into a rental unit, my goodness, that's just like throwing money away.
What about a short-term rental? 3 to
If
6
you-
month
Luck
rental?
finding-
If you can secure, again, like your future property, what would be the purpose of going into 3 to 6 months? Like, do you then buy again? I don't know. I
Well,
kind of feel like.
we
What
just
about a
clo-
sell and lease back?
we just closed one the other day with a 6-month lease back.
Yep.
I think
And
if
I've done
you
some of those
need
too.
it.
Lease backs?
Yeah, there's been
How
a lot
long?
more.
What's the longest lease back you had?
Right now I have one till February.
So that, what are we talking, like 4 months?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
3
A
to 6
lot of
months is
loans
pretty
only
normal.
allow up to 90 days for lease backs, so it depends on loans. So you can't,
I didn't
like,
know
you
that.
can't go for like
A year.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because 90 days you have to be in the house or it's considered an investment property.
Exactly. So
Unless the buyer's buying it for cash, and
Right,
that's
and-
a whole
right, and then
different
there's
stuff.
taxes.
Yeah,
It's
we're
a whole
talking
different-
about loan.
Yeah,
loan
yeah,
situation.
and it's not all loans.
Right.
Certain loans.
But that's a tool we talk about all the time
Yes.
that we use. But to go back to this conversation with my mother and father a little bit about that, and you guys are pros on this end of it. The second part of that conversation is their house is 20-something years old. They're starting to get to the point of
New roof?
New roof. They're starting to.
New
I think
HVACs.
they've actually done that already. They just replaced both their heating and cooling
Dude, they should
system.
sell now.
That's exactly
Yeah.
right. That's exactly right. So people can, you guys
Absolutely.
are pros, if that roof has enough age left in it, 4 or 5 years or something like that, is not a big issue, right, at this point. When the market starts getting back to more normal, it may be.
Right.
And this is now the time to capitalize
Yeah.
on that end
Sell
of
now,
it.
Pop.
Especially if it's something they're already considering, they're already, for other reasons too,
Yeah.
I can see reasons coming together as a family, but I also have a mindset, if you're gonna go, not your situation is, makes sense, but it's like just to sell to then go rent, that's like, why?
Yeah.
Well,
and then move.
to me, it's
Right.
Yeah.
Why?
for me, it's
Just
all
keep your
about
money
coming home and
whenever.
having a meal on the table and the wash getting clean.
Right.
I'm just saying. No, I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding.
No,
Neil, go ahead, Christy.
No, I was just going to say I agree with Maggie, and I think that's a lot of approach that she's taught me through real estate is we're here to serve the client.
Right.
So it's what's best for them. But it's, a lot of these people, I've had this conversation with a couple people like that are just trying to buy without a home sale contingency. And they're
Oh.
they're thinking about selling and
Yes.
renting for a short period of time. That's more of the conversation we had because,
Right.
Then they're moving twice.
Right. Well,
And
and,
a lot of
they're
people are in
having
that
trouble
position.
finding a short 3 or 6 month lease
This
that's
is-
not more than 2 bedrooms or that allows dogs or
Right.
like all the things. Most of these people are wanting a year lease, so then it's just still putting them in another position that they still can't.
They
buy
can't
a house.
buy,
I
right?
will tell you, we probably, out of 25 to 30% of our total listing sales this year were leasebacks between 3 to 6 months.
Do you remember in the market when lease backs or any possession, early or seller
Freaked
possession?
everybody out.
Oh, it was like
Yeah.
the worst situation
Well,
ever
that's-
happened to me with this. But now they, for the most part, go pretty well.
But Maggie, we've been doing this long enough, wait 12 months, the market's going to be different, right?
Yeah, right.
So it's all about market conditions, and that's the reason why you have trusted advisors. That's the reason why this iPhone I hold in my hand will never do what we can do, is to keep our thumb on what's actually happening.
This is where we
in the
throw a
market.
little hate to Zillow.
That's what I was gonna
And
say.
then I could tell.
Did
got-
you see that hilarious post Sasha Farmer did?
I did.
Oh, I was dying with
I
laughter.
did.
That was she was so on fire and so right and so nailed it on the head, and it just was like speaking to me. It's amazing. We haven't seen Zillow come in and buy property here in this area.
Thank goodness.
Yeah,
Right, thank God.
Jerry and I called it 2 years before it happened that they would shut it down. It's just the business model just didn't make any sense.
Right. It's amazing.
But we do need to be
your
careful.
or
Zillow is a broker. Zillow is in our marketplace.
Womp womp.
And
Whoops again.
I am on the board, so I'm just saying.
Neil for Keith.
Oh, good. So do I get an exception then?
Sure. You are exceptional. You are exceptional.
Neil says this. He's the president of the Free Enterprise Forum and an advocate for more housing everywhere for everyone. He says Buckingham County offers 4 residential internet providers, or 10 when including business and mobile operators. Consumers have access to 3 choices for wired broadband, which in Buckingham usually means DSL, and the source is thebroadband.com, Virginia/Buckingham.
So
that's good knowledge there.
So
Yeah, that's
DSL
what I was gonna
is
say.
kind of
Wow.
like the old dial-up, right? It's just a step above dial-up. DSL has a low upload.
Is that like HughesNet?
No, that's satellite.
Oh,
But no, so DSL, was big 20 years ago. That was, and you have like a 10 or 20 megs up or download. In order to function well, and Jerry knows this better than anybody, you kind of need to be around the 200 up, and that's really high. That is high
200
speed.
is so-so. That's not great, but
Well,
I mean, we're flirting with 1,000 here.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. Just to basically survive, you need
Yeah.
to be about a 200 is the
If
point.
we
I
were
was saying.
doing, if we were doing this show
Could
on
you do
200,
Netflix on 200?
You wouldn't do it, no.
you could do. You'd have
No
serious
Netflix
buffering.
on 200.
You'd have serious buffering issues. We could
Well,
do
then
this
I
show
would think
on 200.
I would think most buyers. I mean, most people. They do Netflix nowadays.
Especially
that would
if they
affect,
have like kids and mom and
Right.
dad are working from home, and then kids are streaming Netflix
Right.
and watching Angry Birds or something like that. I mean, my kids all over.
on-
How old are your kids?
7, 6, and 4, almost 5.
Pretty much the same.
Yeah.
So remember, are you guys still in the Blippy phase?
Oh, yes.
Oh
What?
my gosh, I
No.
cannot stand this man.
Blippies.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I'm
probably
obsessed with Blippy. I cannot stand this man.
Yeah. He goes around to all these like little parks and you're like,
Suspenders
oh, I
in the
found
I
a
don't
yellow
watch
dog."
He's today's version of
No
like
Blippy.
Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
Oh,
for
I
kids.
love Mr. Rogers.
Hey, don't bust on Mr.
I know,
Rogers.
I do love Mr. Rogers.
Blippi's is the more educational thing
Yeah.
out of the other
Oh,
shows.
No
It's
doubt.
got with colors
One
and
with the little
But Chrissy, it's like
tiger
the
guy. He's cute.
It's the
constantness.
noise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Having it every day. Every day.
At least it's not Barney.
That's true. At least it's not Barney. That's Blippy is today's version of Barney, wouldn't you say?
Barney
Yo,
was
yes.
the pits.
Yeah.
You hear this
I
little
love
tune come on and you're like,
I cringe. Right. I think Blippy in my sleep. This has been a good show. These
So that's one of the
guys-
good things about being an empty nester. I don't have to participate in this.
Well, you got grandchildren.
Yeah, but that's Zoom. I do Zoom and
FaceTime.
FaceTime. Thank you, love you, and hang up.
Yeah.
You can give
I can
them
see
back.
that.
Is what you're saying.
Digitally give them back.
Totally
Yeah.
kidding.
That's great. Any final words, my friends? This has been a phenomenal show.
Fun. Thank you
yeah.
for having us.
Thank you guys so much.
This gentleman
Thank
set it
you.
up.
My pleasure. We're going to do it on a regular basis. This is just a lot of fun.
thank
We'll
you.
get it
Love
on we'll get it on the calendar for every couple of months. Bring you guys in to talk. So thank you. Happy birthday
Yeah,
again,
thank you.
Maggie. Thank you. As always,
you.
you're entertaining.
Aw,
And thank you guys
And-
to this show because being a new agent, I am a sponge and I watch all the time and I'm learning a lot about
Good.
the industry because there's so much information all the time and I feel like I'm getting the current information by watching the show. So thank you guys
Thank
for
you.
providing this
Thank you.
resource to
Well,
all of us.
that
was
means
nice. Thank you for saying
that means
that.
more to
Thank
me
you.
than you could say. Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
Thank you
Dude
guys.
works really, really hard on this. So thank you for
shows.
saying that.
See all the trees I have to kill.
No,
to
look
do?
at how many pieces of paper right there. That's a light load for him this morning.
That is light, actually.
Oh, I
Yeah.
am not a paper person.
I'm not a paper person either.
Well, this is an age thing, right? I've got to print it out. I've got to read it.
Tangible.
Yeah.
sometimes.
So
no.
I spend a couple hours prepping for each show.
Well, thank you.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
No,
I do.
I know.
Mainly because I'm really slow and I need to
No.
study.
No, yeah, right.
Because you understand the professional
I
responsibility.
do
Oh,
understand
yes,
the
that bingo.
obligation. I understand the obligation.
time.
Judah Wickhauer Wickhauer is our director. Christy just had a birthday yesterday. If you see her, wish her a happy birthday.
Thank you.
Maggie is absolutely fantastic
thank
on the show. I
you.
sincerely mean it. It's like upbeat and entertaining.
Thank you.
Keith Smith is our
West
executive
Wellness.
producer. Great plug. Great plug. Keith Smith, our executive producer and casting director.
Is that what it is?
All
My title
right.
changes. He changes it every show.
Come see me at the
can
City
see
Market on
us.
Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, final
Would you
market
like
this
a plug for
weekend.
anything in that?
Oh, sure. ChristyLynnBeck.com. I do activewear or athleisure wear. We have also men's, women's dress attire too. So you can go to work comfortable, or if you're sitting at home, working from home, you
Well,
can
don't
get
look
some
at me
biking.
with menswear because I'll be logging on and spending
Hey,
some
Don't
we
worry,
even have
Yona
new
has a
bike-
credit card.
We actually have a new bike collection too for bikers with
Yeah,
pads.
but did you hear what he just said?
Yona has the credit card.
Did you-
Man's not allowed to have the credit card anymore.
That's the
Yona.
truth.
Smart lady,
good.
Yona Smith. You're a smart lady. For Judah,
I went away for 3 days and I had an allotment for each day.
that's right. That's a smart lady. Thank you to Judah Wickhauer, our director. And guys, this is the
Yes, thank
Monday
you.
Market Monitor, powered by Segura Solar and presented by Closure Title and Settlement Company and Ally Property Management. Thank you kindly for joining us. We will see you in approximately 55 minutes on the I Love Seville show. Take care.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, ladies.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Great
So
show.
fun.